But nonetheless, the point I'm trying, same thing with the desert. It could have been a miserable experience. It was profound. So it's how we relate to that. When you're on the inside of those situations, there's always a lot you can do to experience it differently. Yes, it's easy to say from the outside when we believe it's always a horrible, terrible situation. But when you're actually on the inside of it, it's not necessarily as bad as we think it is. That's what I'm trying to say. So on the ground, there's usually a lot more that we can do when you're in that situation than you think you can do when you're looking at it from the outside.
Let's just say the military is watching you every move. You can't do anything. People are killing your family and friends.
Right. But then you hear of people who are in the resistance, and that they come out of it, and they report.
It's about awareness again. All these incidences, whether in South Africa or Iran or Afghanistan or the world over where all these things are happening, look at how we are becoming aware of the plights and the situations of all these people. So it's making us all aware, so there's a greater awareness that is being expanded upon, and also the people that really feel earnestly in terms of championing these different situations to shed even more light on it.
Let me just go back to Myles.
There's a broader thing.
Because Myles, you're asking a very earnest question that people struggle with a lot. And really it's the issue of dealing with overwhelm. Those situations are overwhelming in their negativity, right? The underlying of it. So do the one little thing that you can do, and then do the next little thing that you can do, and keep going, and then through that process you eliminate the amount of things that you need to do, you get some clarity, and then you start to find a way out of the mess.
Okay. And then overall you start thinking that the end positive is kind of like the game of chess, where this is a leveraging mechanism for some sort of change, some sort of involvement.
Right.
But it's also like you're sacrificing a lot of people.
Yeah.
I know,
Yes.
but
in order to get to
But
there,
if we
it's
shift
sad.
that to say,
Yeah.
why did I choose to be born into those circumstances? Now we have a profound leverage. Because say
In
for
that
instance,
country, in
right,
that situation,
right,
circumstance.
in the infinity of your life, if you hung up about injustice and unfairness, we're going to have life after life after life of misery. It's gonna mess you up over and over
Till
and
you're
over again.
free of that.
Because look at it, the overall picture, right? Why is there unfairness? Because we have to have a free choice of awareness. We have to get to awareness to ourselves, which means we have to have the freedom to be ourselves. We have to have the freedom to be unfair and unjust, right? It has to be part of the system. If you remove those, if you remove the ability to be unjust and unfair, then what do you also remove? You're removing the true free choice of growing your awareness. So your awareness is never going to be real again. So the system has to have that in. So we have to make peace that the world is going to include injustice, unfairness, cruelty, meanness, all of those stuff.
I understand that, but how do you help those people in those moments?
That's what I'm saying. This is too overview perspective for them. I'm saying the way to help somebody who's lost in a situation like that, simply deal with it as overwhelm. Do the one single smallest little thing that you can do, and then do the next little thing that you can do, and through doing that, the amount of things that you need to do starts to get less and less. You clear a path, as it were. And through that you say, hey, you know what, there is actually something I can do. In a situation where you're lost in suffering like that, just doing one little thing, it's empowering. It raises your confidence. Oh, you know what, there is something I can do. Maybe a little thing, but there is something I can do.
I have a couple
Do another
examples.
thing. You do another thing. Right. And through that you find a way out. Now, just please hold that for me, Myles. John, when you go through that and you look at the overview perspective, in any of those circumstances, there's always people who have gotten out or figured out a way to deal with it. Everybody knows of examples like that. So if somebody else can do it, I can also do it.
And that's
That's
the light in the
another
dark.
way to do it. So I have to just figure out how. The way to figure out how is start by doing the one little thing that you can do, then do the next little thing that you can do. Yeah, it doesn't sound very great, but at least it's just something that...
And then at the end you're just like, fuck it, I just gotta trust.
Exactly. That's where we get to capital T trust. Exactly. But that you have to be impeccable and do what you can do yourself. Now, inevitably, right, we really take this on a more profound spiritual level, because you want to combine this to spirituality. When people have struggles and impossible situations, and you do everything that you possibly can do, and then you say, you know what have I learned? And you do a review back on what you've learned. When you have learned your lessons, life comes and the whole situation just miraculously changes. It happens every bloody time. It's unbelievable how that works. Now that you have to take on faith, but okay, you know, at least you can use that faith as a palliative, as a soothing, to keep you going in the meantime. To trust that if you do everything impeccably that you can do those little things, even though you see this mountain of impossibility, it doesn't matter. Just do and trust, and then the universe is saying, okay, they're doing everything they can do, I'm going to come and help you. Now, why would the universe or the life there, why would you look down on your knuckle itself and say, well, they're in the shit, they're suffering? They're not doing anything, they're just giving up, they're just suffering. They're not making any, there's little things they can do, a couple of little things. They're not doing them. Why should I help them? They're not helping themselves, why should I help them?
Look at how we got out. I mean, we just took that opportunity because we didn't know how things were going to pan out with Mandela and his release, and I mean everything could have gone to pot. And then it's like, why wait for that to happen?
Although that wasn't our prime motivation, but
No,
Is that why you guys came here?
yeah, we didn't come because of that. We came for
still,
spiritual
I mean, the
reasons. But yeah,
opportunity presented itself, and in terms of, I look at the situation, and there's always this undercurrent of physical.
it's just a more reason, yeah.
Yeah, physical threat to your physicality. Some people can live with that, and others it's like, well, I can live with other stresses. However, there's certain stresses that it's like I'm going to
Myles.
minimize that, because that's a weight on your, just on your awareness, a pressure on you every single day, and as a woman, it's like, oh, yes, so you're living with that. However, there are other ways that you kind of looking over your shoulder too, but those are more psychological. Those are more
Your question is
things
the
that you
answer
can,
to
in terms of your
my-
psychology, can handle.
your,
So I think
sorry,
that's
my
the point that
previous
Peter's making.
comments
In terms of-
are actually the answer to your question now.
Can you hold it?
Mm-hmm.
Can you hold your examples? I'm going to use the rest of it. I'll be back.
Yeah.
Don't lose it.
Mm-mm.
Hold that one point.
So while we wait for Myles, John, just the task at the end of the session. Oh, you're going to eat, never mind.
Is this something that you already reviewed?
Well, no, I just wanted to share it with you to make a note of, because you like the actual task.
I want you to try this and
Exactly.
see.
That's what
You can be the guinea pig.
You read my
I'm
mind.
like, oh.
Those little tasks at the end of the session is always some little task. I just wanted to share this one with you because I think those really connect to you, the tasks, and you like them to. You like the title because it gives connectivity,
Right.
and the task at the same token gives a backward connectivity. So when you go over the modules in your own time, John, you can just do that really. Pay attention to the start and then to the end task. It will give you that cohesiveness in a very quick way.
Right.
You're going to have fun going over these just over the course of time with Cynthia. Like just instead of watching a movie, you do a session.
Right.
You know, just go through it as if you're watching a movie. You know what I mean? Kind of the same from an entertainment point of view.
Sure.
You know, like watching a YouTube video. It's going to be a real fun activity. You know, when you come at it from that perspective.
She's actually watching our video.
Ah, nice. I saw somebody was watching them. I saw that. Yes. Oh,
She's doing
brilliant.
that.
And that must be interesting for her.
It is. She's
I would
really keen
love
to see
her-
what I'm getting out of it.
Yes, and I would love her to share her perspectives and comments and takeaways. That would be something profound. So yeah, please encourage her to share. That would be really nice.
Right. I just sent her the link for the
Right.
Facebook page.
Right, right. Also, yeah, those links in the videos, only people who have the links can see them. You know that, of course. Yeah. Oh, you just forwarded the email to her, I'm assuming.
That is very interesting.
Interesting.
Right. Code for, I'm not sure if I like it yet.
No, it's a dessert. It doesn't taste like hummus. It tastes like a pudding or something.
Oh,
Looks like chocolate pudding.
Yeah.
Chocolate pudding and rice cake. Now there's a new thing for you.
Yeah.
Good.
Brilliant.
I'm not quite sure I'm sold on that. Oh, no. Actually, no.
Hey, I'm excited. We come to one of my favorite episodes. No, the episodes. I should call them episodes, not sessions.
I do have a question that extends this conversation. When we drove up here, there are people begging at the entrance of the Sasha
Right.
Buses.
Right.
on each entrance. There's one guy just sitting there holding a sign, and the other guy sitting in his wheelchair holding a sign. I'm thinking to myself, isn't there something they could be doing productive that they could be more happy earning a living
Right.
rather than just sit there doing nothing?
Right.
Like
And
working
I'm
in a
thinking, why are they
community
not helping
garden.
themselves?
Right.
Why are they not
Effort
engaged?
reward.
Hmm?
Effort reward. They're in a spot where the effort. Oh, not just right now. Thank you, sweetness. I was looking for it. I wanted to eat it earlier, so I had the grapes. I thought it was somebody ate the rest, but okay, now I know what it is. When we were homeless, which was, like I said, was a most magical, marvelous situation. When we came to this country, we came with buggle. I mean, just at the time they had exchange rate things, and you couldn't bring anything out. Not that we really had much to come with, but nonetheless, so you come with nothing, essentially, right? So it's a one-way deal. And it was very expensive at the time. I mean, I think the plane tickets themselves were like 8,000 or something, you know. Yeah, something like that. But so basically we had nothing when we came. At any rate, our magical adventures and appropriateness, we're on a quest, we're on a self-improvement, self-discovery, learning, magical, spiritual quest. So we're literally on in a very exact way which a quest is in the old days.
I need to put ice cubes in it.
Right. In a way a quest is in its sense, it's a spiritual quest. That's exactly what we were when we came here. That's our intent, spiritual quest. So that's how we came to be homeless on Santa Monica. We didn't see it as being homeless because, like life's falling apart. No, it's part of our spiritual quest. It just is what it is. Okay, no problem. But in that experience, we got to see they're basically like kind of different layers of people. Mm-hmm. And there's no need for those guys to sit on the corner with the signs. Absolutely no need. There's more than enough spiritual, charities that take care of you and all that. I mean, there's plenty places.
Medicare, Medicaid.
You have
exactly.
everything except a roof over your head.
Right.
Everything is accessible.
Right. And we were in Santa Monica, and I mean, at that time, there was like 6,000 homeless in Santa Monica. It was already a big problem. So it was a huge deal, and you see too that and the different layers of them. Some are there because they're running away from the police and they're stuck on a lamb, and others are there because the drugs have fucked up their lives. That's the most common one usually. And then others are there, the alcoholics, they kind of look down on because they said, those guys, you can't help them. Sometimes people put them in houses and get them everything, and then just a month or two later, they're back in the street. They don't want to be anywhere else because this is the thing where they can just do their thing and be happy. The other stuff's too much, hassle too much, bother too much, fun. They don't want all that. They're just happy lying in the gutter drunk. That's it. And this was from the homeless people said this to us. Right? There's kind of different layers of it. So, what did they call that? They called it busking, I think, or signing. That's what they call it, signing. They said signing again.
Panhandling. No?
Well, no, panhandling is different to signing. The guys who sit with a sign, it's called signing. Right, they had names for it. Panhandling is where you go up, and panhandling in Santa Monica, you could get in trouble with the law for panhandling. There was an ordinance that was against panhandling, so you couldn't quite do it. So you had to be careful. Anyway, they knew all of that stuff, which is very fascinating. But again, it wasn't necessary to do. It was just something, and some of those guys have made fairly good money, and it fed their drug habit.
Hell yeah. So,
Really necessary.
just a bit of levity here.
Yeah.
I saw a picture of a panhandler in Manhattan. Thank you. The sign said, his sign said, "Give me $1 or I'll vote for Trump."
Brilliant.
This is during the last election cycle.
I was thinking about this because I drive past them often. And on this other hand, it's like, alright, you're in a situation where you think this is the best use of your energy, that's kind of sucks. Alright, it doesn't take much for me to contribute, so I don't mind. If I have something, I give it. I don't really have anything to give them, so I can't really, but still. I was thinking, if I were to make a sign now, I would write on that sign, what can I, underline I, what can I do for you, underline that.
Oh, wow.
If you see a guy saying aside, hey, what can I do for you?
That's awesome.
I mean, shit, wouldn't you want to give that guy something to do for you? And okay, I don't have anything to do, or I'll just give you something. But I mean, because when you write that sign, right, and your attitude, it
Right.
will be
Right.
implied that, you know, your earnestness will be there. Hey, what can I do for you? I don't know what else I can do, but hey, if I can do something for you, I'll do it. That's it.
But you used to see signs like saying, I'm out of work, I'm happy to work for you, I just need a few bucks. I don't see those anymore.
We'll work for food.
Yeah, work for food, right.
You know, we have that in the
But
restaurant.
food is so accessible.
You know,
You can go
people
anywhere.
complain about unemployment in this country, and I always laugh in their faces. I say, don't be bloody ridiculous. You've never had any employment problem over here. You get an employment problem when you stop seeing help wanted signs. I've never been in America where I haven't seen help wanted signs. Always. Even in the 2008, I still saw, you know, even in the worst of that, you know, I still saw help wanted signs. When you got an employment problem is when you see help not wanted signs. Seriously, that's what we had in the restaurant. We said, we put a sign up in the door, no work available. And still, when I was in the mornings doing my orders and stuff, it was still a bloody nuisance, people coming in and looking for job. Sorry, no work. They came in despite the sign. Okay, now half the time they couldn't read, but even so, you know. So it's amazing. Now that's when you know you've got an employment problem, when people are coming in despite the sign. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's a nuisance, the number of people coming in and looking for work. That's when you got an unemployment problem. So people would come in and they basically, you know, but can you help me out? But you can see the attitude. So, you know what? Actually, I got something for you. You can clean out grease trap.
No.
Oh, never mind. Only
Yeah.
one guy ever took me up on that.
Right.
Only one guy ever in 4 years took me up on cleaning that grease trap. Because I know it's a shitty job, and my staff don't want to do it either. It's a crap job to do. If you've ever cleaned a grease trap, you know exactly what I mean. It's a horrible business to do. So how real are you really? That's my point.
Right.
Okay, I got something for you to do. You really want to do something? I'll give you something, you know.
I saw an interesting documentary by this journalist who went homeless for 2 years. He left his wife and family
Wow.
and lived it.
Oh, yeah.
And there are all kinds of reasons for why people are homeless. But he did meet people who actually have homes and they have nice things in their homes and they just go out and beg just because they can make $300 in a day in 4 hours.
Wow. Yeah, it's easy.
I mean, there are all kinds of motivations.
Wow. It's just, you know, again, you have to think of homeless as perspective shifting. People pay big money to go homeless. Just drive up to the canyon on the way to Flagstaff and you'll see them on, you know, camping grounds. They're full. All camping is being homeless deliberately. People pay big money to go camping, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, it's just that we tend to think of homelessness as this big horror, you know what I mean? And that was the profound value of it. It's always magic in these things. When we grew up, the worst scolding and the pressure on the leverage on you to do your homework, to be good or whatever, to not be crappy was, if you don't do your homework, you're going to end up on the street. If you don't eat your food, you're going to end up on the street. If you don't learn your lessons, you're going to end up on the street. That was always the end of it. You're going to end up on the street, right? That was the worst of the worst lessons. I mean, the worst of the worst, like threats. The ultimate worst threat possible is you end up on the street. So we ended up on the street and we had a blast. I mean, it was fantastic. It was learning. It was all sorts of magic and marvel. And it was just an adventure. It was a marvelous, brilliant. But it had the bonus effect of getting rid of that bogey. Then we realized, oh, you know what, the worst has happened.
The worst fear that could
Right.
happen to you did happen, and I survived in the
Right.
best possible way. In fact, I thrived.
Exactly.
That was the lesson.
Now, how empowering is that? When you realize that I'm in the supposed worst that could happen, and yeah, I'm not only surviving, but thriving.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the other thing to answer Miles's, this whole long story. It comes to that earnestness of Miles's question. He's asking, what do you do with the suffer? To say, hey, you know, you're in your worst and you're busy surviving.
I liked your answer, and I want to give you 2 examples that I've read personal accounts about or heard on NPR. In one case, the Taliban wouldn't allow education of women, girls.
Wow.
So they obviously had underground classrooms. And an account by the 2 girls, the girl and her sister, was that they risked their lives every day to pretend that they're walking to the market, but they were really going to class. And had they been caught, there would have been severe consequences. And then when the Taliban left that community, they were prepared to go on,
Wow.
much more prepared than anybody, people who didn't get that. So they did the one thing they could do.
Exactly.
The parents
Exactly.
allowed them to risk all of their lives to educate their kids because it was so important.
Right.
And
On the moment, in the ground reality, it's always not quite what we imagine it to be. And you know, and the profoundness of things, I mentioned it with Holocaust survivors. When you really listen to their stories, it's a common theme of how they were saying that this is like, it has been life transformative for them. You know, they see the profoundness of how it leveraged them into being phenomenally radical people that they would not otherwise have been. Now, that doesn't, of course, excuse the Holocaust, but you know, it makes you realize that there's a moreness to stuff, that you can't just assume that suffering is only suffering. There's more to life than just suffering.
Yeah,
So that's
the famous book you just
Right.
referred to, the doctor who survived the Holocaust and wrote about it.
I don't know the name.
We referred to that book. We referred to
Anne
Anne
Frank.
But there's another book by somebody who changed his perception about the whole thing
Why?
and was able to survive.
It's huge. It's huge. We really have to insist that there's more, and that's the key. Right. So to answer Miles's question, what do you say to somebody who's suffering in the now? Say, hey, insist on extracting the more.
And just the other example. So one was education, the other was dance. They had a secret dance class. They wanted to express themselves. It was outlawed, but
Right.
they did it in
Right.
secret.
In secret. Right.
Was that movie?
I heard
Because
about
there
it
was
in
a movie
NPR.
that I'd like to see.
There was an
Taliban Dance
interview.
Club.
It's where these people were dancing in secret.
You know, it's interesting
It was in
that
Iran.
your examples
Yeah.
come up using people living under the Taliban. Because in that rules of sentience, the idea is to make up perspectives which are useful for living, ones which would apply to the most yuppiest of yuppie, new age, woo-woo, Hollywood, Berkeley, on the one spectrum, you know, Sedona on the one end of the spectrum, Mrs. Taliban on the other end of the spectrum. It's that absolute concern, and Mrs. Taliban, who, she's not suffering under Taliban, she's a Taliban, she's part of that mindset, but something that would have sense and logic even to her. Must work for both ends of the spectrum. Well, when you say, for instance, okay, you know, the purpose and meaning of life is the development and enhancement of awareness. Well, doesn't that just work for spirit, for source, for Allah, for Buddha, for Krishna, for God, whatever the hell you want? It makes it all works, no? So it's that logic, you know, where you're saying, hey, we're going to make this work across the spectrum as best as is possible. Obviously, there's going to be factors with language and all that, and yes, if it gets translated into Arabic, you know, obviously somebody's going to have a sensibility to that. But, you know, we can't assume. There's always little pockets of things, and even in the worst of situations, you get examples to do that. If you now really, people read things with an intent and with an agenda, and they want to hear what they think. So when you like read horror stories and like Holocaust stories or people suffering under the Taliban, you tend to only focus on your expectations of this is all suffering. But if you really read carefully, you see there's those little pockets like, well, at this secret dance club, there's always something you can do. It's quite profound. And again, you know, having lived in situations like that to some degree or another, I know from personal experience there's always something you can do. Absolutely.
Is it just me? I'm not tasting the ginger very much. Do you taste the ginger? Well, these are tea cubes.
Tastes good,
Mm-hmm.
regardless.
It's nice and
I love that you enjoy
Cool.
Olivia's stuff. Makes me very happy, by the way. I just love it. Very happy.
love that stuff.
No, I just love it because
You
you know,
know,
it's like you can share your stuff that you enjoy. I like sharing stuff that I enjoy, you know. But
So what I want to say, you know, I once, in the Malay Quarter, I had a friend, and I basically wore a burqa all day long. You know
Where was this?
this was in Cape Town,
Oh.
because there's a,
Why did you do this?
I
just
wanted to,
Experience?
I wanted to
I mean,
see what
they
it felt
have a
like.
Muslim community, and some of
Yes.
them are very traditional.
And
It
I
wasn't
worked
required or
with
anything,
this
it's not
girl,
legal,
and
but
I was,
I'm coming
I
back.
was the only thing.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
no,
I guess
I'll
my
talk to you.
face, this
No,
part of my
no.
face was exposed. However, I experienced such a, I felt powerful because I felt anonymous. I felt like I was incognito because nothing, I mean, I was just this, yeah. And that was, I mean,
I have
Huh?
a serious question.
mhm.
Does he leave anything
I read a story once where this guy, I guess he was a Western guy, and he was in one of the Middle Eastern countries, and he writes this story.
Just somebody
We've
came to
seen
the
this woman
workshop.
and
She wanted
the
to do a
sun-
5
something
hours.
about
Actually,
the
the only
lighting.
person who ever
So he can
wanted
see
to
that
do
she's
that.
wearing nothing
I should have to
underneath
review
all
the
of
Airbnb.
this. And it was a
The
really,
Airbnb
it
reviews
was
are very
erotic
important. You know,
I mean, it
people
just
on
was a
Airbnb,
really
they make a
exquisite
lot.
story. I can't, I mean,
Remember to do that.
I think they'll send you a reminder email.
Yeah.
When you get a chance.
And
Wait till
so-
after this. I think you've got enough. It's
Not
not
much
much 2 weeks. So when we done with it.
circulation?
yeah.
Because
And
that review
however,
is
she
going to
was,
be a
I
nice
guess the way the
recap
sun
as well. It'll have
was
multiple
shining
offers.
and he saw, oh,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and then he writes about, I mean, his fantasies, I guess, just takes
That's
over.
almost-
Because all he sees, all he can see are the
When we
eyes
came here.
as she
Mysterious.
moved past him and,
You know, at the time they
yeah.
had very high
And then I
exchange. Not
guess he
that we had
writes
much
this
to
whole
come with,
story.
but whatever little you bought was in the plane ticket.
Yeah.
Like plane ticket back
$8
then.
grand?
But I'm just saying, it just goes to show
Because
that,
the exchange rate,
like
you
when
know,
I wore that thing, it was
the disproportionate exchange rate.
really
So
good.
just,
You can buy the plane ticket in your own currency?
you do, but that's the thing, because you come to America, it's in, you know, plane tickets always, the price is a universal thing. It's a universal commodity. If you're flying inside the country, maybe it's cheaper. No, outside it always becomes. So it becomes very expensive here. Distorted currency. Well, and also then politically they jack the currency up. It benefits the mining industry. They like bad currency because the price of gold is fixed in dollars. So if the rand exchange rate goes to shit, they make more, and their costs stay the same in rands. They just get paid more in dollars. It just directly affects their bottom line. So, but that just, you know, just the nature of our circumstance was. Hey, come on, but again, being homeless wasn't it was part of our quest, our adventure. We came here on a quest specifically, you know, on a spiritual quest. That was our deal. So we
What
traveled
was your
all
intent
around. We
exactly?
hitchhiked all around Arizona, actually, by the way.
Did you?
Oh yeah, and we never stood there going to a specific place. No, our intent was that we were waiting for the right person to pick us up. That's how we hitchhiked, with that specific intent. It's most fantastic.
What happened?
The right people picked us up always.
I can
Right,
tell you,
magical
all the
advances.
people, it started off, we had this pressure to get to Dallas. We didn't know why, we
To
just,
where?
to Dallas,
Right.
Dallas, Texas. Well, that was the only Dallas
Well, there
we
is a
knew.
specific reason, but
Yes,
it's a
but
very
it's
long story.
not.
Okay.
Where
Long
did you
story
arrive?
short, one,
92.
yeah, once, long story short, we get to Dallas and it's like, oh, we better get the fuck out of here because we were at the Greyhound station and it just felt
It was very
unsafe. So we found the most direct way to get to the
Highway.
highway and we walked in that direction and the minute we got onto we were where the on-ramp meets the freeway, the semi stops, but you know they're like half a mile from where you're at because they can't just brake. And we get a ride, 2-hour ride.
A
from
second
little
person stops to give us a
Wrangler.
ride to the truck.
And we get on the back of the Wrangler and we
Right.
get a ride to our
Right.
ride. The guy's name, the truck driver's name, Dallas. And so we just knew.
We clicked. We had to get to
It
Dallas.
wasn't Dallas the place. We had to get to Dallas. And here we were with Dallas, and there was this exchange of energy because we shared ourselves with him, and what we shared was pertinent to him.
And it was a long drive. It was all the way to El Paso.
And what was pertinent to him, it was pertinent to him, but what he shared with us was this whole thing about urban survival, which we didn't really make sense of at the time. However, long story short, it did come into play that month and a half that we were, on the streets in Santa Monica. Long story short, after that first ride, then we got another ride. We drove from Dallas all the way to El Paso. And then we got another ride from a guy, Brian Copeland, Hopi guy. His mother was Hopi and his father was white. And he said, "You've got to go and see my." He was freaked out.
It's
And
a
we
long
would-
story. This.
Yeah, I know.
I know.
Okay,
It's fine.
anyway.
You're doing good job, Olivia.
So we get. I just want to kind of move through like
Yeah,
the
the
people
progression.
to see. Also, we get a ride with Brian, and we're sharing ourselves with him, and he's kind of freaking out. But at the same time that we're driving with him, as we're talking, the landscape is changing, and he knows he's au fait with this, but we not. But we know that he knows. He comes from a tradition where the fluidity of things is something that he's conversant with. The reality, all of that was shifting and
Our
changing
drive was a
as
drive
we
through
talked.
fluid reality for him.
It was, yes.
Right.
And also,
He freaked
for,
out.
I remember for myself that it's like, wow, this can happen. You don't know that it can until it does. That reality can morph and shift and shape in this way. Anyway, so he tells us we've got to go and see Lolly Esther, where his aunt, she lives on Second Mesa.
High Top.
On-
No, he didn't say Second Base. He just said High Top, Arizona.
Yes.
That was the
Yeah,
school.
and we like, where's it? So it was like this riddle that we were moving through.
Well, we didn't know it when he said it. We just
No.
assumed it was evident self-directions, but when we actually tried to get there, it wasn't.
No, it was actually
So it took
this
us on a
high top
whole magical side
journey.
quest.
Yeah, which basically we ended up on all the reservations in Arizona,
Right.
not by design. We got there by the dictates of the spirit. The
Oh, waiting for the
flow
right
of
people to
events.
pick us up,
By-
right?
Exactly.
You were hitchhiking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We checked all over Arizona.
Wow. What an
We always
adventure.
waited for the right person to pick us up.
And it was always this transmutation of energy, this share of like, wow, they got a piece of the
That's some
puzzle, we
profound
got a piece
experiences.
of the puzzle.
We've got magical stories. Don't get us started. It's
I
a
really think you guys are.
massive story.
You guys
And-
look like mass murderers, so I don't know.
Well, his hair was short.
Well, when somebody says to us, aren't you worried about, like when you get a lift and they say, aren't you worried about being picked up by a serial killer, a mass murderer? I say, no, it doesn't worry me. What are the odds of two of them being in the same car?
Oh,
at
I
the same
saw
time?
that joke.
Mm.
Yeah.
I thought John would like the joke.
Where did I see that joke?
Oh,
I
it
saw
comes up
too.
on the internet
Yeah.
every now and then.
That's good.
We never used it then, but it would have been. Somebody
Anyway,
asked
that
us
was it was an interesting summer because it was a summer that this happened.
Right.
Just hitchhiking.
You know, you can stand on the side of the road and you can wait with intent. Now,
And that's
sometimes,
what
I
we
mean, we spent like, I don't know, one time we spent like 2 or 3 days on the side of the road. Sometimes there's no time.
No, but
When we were going up to Oregon, on the one time we were still in California.
oh, when
Yeah.
what's his name? This guy, he worked at he sent us to his mother. He said, my mother has a ranch.
But I'm saying
in
there was one
Oregon.
time that we waited a long time. This is my point. But what I'm trying to say is when people pick you up,
Oh, we ended up working at a carnival
right?
for one night.
Well, that's
We
a
were
big long
carnies.
story, right?
You worked at a carnival?
For one night.
What'd
yeah.
you do?
We
Oh, it's
basically,
it's a really cool
we
little
set
story,
up.
right? Well,
could
but
you
then
believe
you
it?
did the
Yeah.
preamble. So we
Yeah.
get there and we say, okay, just your carney said just
gonna be
for
too
labor,
long.
right?
Right, right.
Okay, we'll help you. Okay, set up and there's a whole bunch of us. And then the guy who hires us is going to put up his stand. He just disappears. Okay, we're just waiting for the guy to come. So what do we do? What do we
The
do? What do we
carnival
do?
opens tomorrow.
Right, but I mean, this
And
is now the
nobody's
whole
seen
day
evidence.
is going by, right? Literally,
You didn't
this
have
guy
any-
doesn't
you didn't know
show.
what to do?
So halfway
No,
through the
we just
afternoon,
took over
there's
and
nobody.
set
I
it
just
up.
said, I just took charge and said, okay, do this, and I just figured out how to put it up, and I set up the whole guy's thing.
That's
When he
great.
comes back, what the fuck he was doing, I have no idea. How he expected things to happen, I have no idea. Because I mean, we really worked basically right through the night to get his stand up. You know, 'cause we were so
Yeah, we
behind.
didn't
It was-
sleep.
It was the end of the day already.
It's like, it's going to open, the carnival is
Right,
open tomorrow. How can you not have a stand?
Exactly.
And how come there's nobody in evidence?
Right.
How do you expect to
Let's
do
see now.
all this?
So he's all happy
We
with
worked
us.
through the night.
Right, but so he's like, wow, he's like all amazed. Oh wow, you can. So okay, but I said, okay, we'll continue, but we need to sleep. We've been up all night. It's like morning now already. Okay, so he finds a campground and we sleep in it. Instead of putting us up in a hotel, cheapskate, arsehole, moron nonsense. Anyway, so he puts us up in the, right, he puts us in the campground and we sleep in there, we just lying on the side. Oh, we don't care, it's fine, okay, we've got a place to sleep. But again, come end of the day, guy don't show. Doesn't show. Okay, but the highway's right there, so okay, too bad guy, you know, the universe, I guess it's not our path, you know. Get on back on the highway and continue.
You didn't
on
get
our
paid?
journey. Oh, he did pay us a little bit, I think, right? Not very much, I don't think he did.
No, it
Right,
was
but no,
negligible.
it's negligible. It didn't matter, the money.
No.
Just
Well, we ended up going to.
Right, it was just that
what's
it
her
was
name,
kind of
Small's
obvious
place.
that this wasn't a path, and I don't know, for whatever reason we helped the guy, but it's just odd, it's the weirdness, anomaly.
Vagaries of the
Strange.
universe.
And the guy who picked us up then was a policeman. We got lots of lists from policemen.
Yes.
Oh, you're not allowed to stand here, you're not allowed to hike on the highway, and then they give us a
there
lift to
was-
the next off ramp,
Yeah.
and then you just walk to the on
And a
ramp.
good chat,
There you
which
go.
share, you know, yeah, it was fun.
And they know, they
They
take
were
you out
nice.
of their jurisdiction and they know you're going to probably do that. They have a nice little chat with them because we like policemen, so we have a positive attitude. So it's very refreshing for them to meet somebody who has positivity towards them.
That's when we met Mickey.
After that came
Yeah.
Mickey, yes. Coming from
When's the movie
Guru.
coming out?
Oh, goodness, man, it's such a long story. I haven't even written. I've got most of it written.
And through Mickey
but
we ended
I
up
don't have
in.
this part written yet, yeah.
We
Lots of
stayed on
material.
this ranch in Oregon, the Pendleton area, and because we had met Mickey and he had given us a ride from some point in Oregon, or no, from
Sure.
some point in Northern California
Yeah.
to Medford, Oregon, to a friend that he was going to visit, and we stayed there with him that night, and we exchanged contact details, and I would connect and, you know, just tell him about our travels. And then he invited us to Chicago, and then from the farm, the ranch, we went to Chicago, and we stayed there for a year and a half, and that's when we got into the photographic business.
Through
We
him, 'cause
bought
that's what he
through,
was,
yeah, we helped him set up his photographic
At
shop.
first we were just free labor, you know, we had a place to stay in.
Yes,
We go to, you know, camera shop, like a gun
he
shop.
made
same
good
thing.
use of us, make
Right.
no mistake.
And we just help him
That's right.
load and unload, and then one day, you know, somebody come and said, you know, I want to, you know, will you sell us on consignment? Okay, he wasn't there, and I said, okay, I'll take it on consignment from you. All right, so I got consignment, got a little money out of it, and I bought a little stuff, and yeah. So that's kind of a cool story because we
Can
went
I,
from like 0 to 100 in a,
Can I propose
Yeah.
something?
yeah.
I would love to take you guys out to dinner and really hear
The
your
story.
very interesting stories. It's fascinating. Tonight's really the night we can do it because tomorrow night Myles has something he's going to do, and then Saturday we're off somewhere.
Right, and tomorrow night I got the takeaway sessions for with
Right.
Donna and with Drew and Michael. So
So tonight is the night,
tonight is the
Okay.
night, yeah.
and I look to you for recommendations.
Olivia knows
I'm
wherever you
thinking,
want. What's that?
like it's nice to sit out where, I mean, not all the restaurants have a view. And it's so nice when you sit out and you have that view.
Mariposa?
No, I was thinking the Hudson, which is just around that roundabout.
Wherever it is. Do we need a reservation?
Yeah, I think it would be.
I like that practical.
And maybe like
practical
on the
detail.
patio,
Okay, so
someplace where we have a view.
gotta reward Mr.
Because
A,
then
man,
that's a
right?
whole different
That
view,
is very good. Love Mr. A.
The Hudson?
the Hudson.
Right, love Mr. A. That's actually a big deal with that, Mr. A. You know, it can ruin your life if you don't manage Mr. A. So Mr. A puts pressure on you, but you can satisfy those internal aspects, not just Mr. A, any of them. You can satisfy them kind of virtually like, okay,
It's so amazing how there's so few restaurants that actually have good views. Isn't that wild?
You can even do that
Yeah, it doesn't
internally,
make sense to
virtually.
me.
They're easily appeased.
I would've
Because
wanted-
there's so many of them.
You just have to manage them, and then you
I mean,
leverage them
this-
to become positive as well. which is
Mariposa,
very cool.
Hudson has a view.
Just stick with the Hudson, just do one, that's good, and go from there.
I'm going to the reservations. It says, let's see, party of 4. Today, what time? What works
So
for
that
you?
we catch the view.
Well, what's the time now?
You know,
3
the
o'clock,
lights.
right? Okay, that's good, because I do want to do that. We on schedule, because we ended session, the module 6, which is our 6th day. We've got 2 more days, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But we can, we're a little ahead, and I was trying to get a little bit ahead. And so I want to do session 1 of module 7, which is
That's
the life detective.
So they have 6 o'clock, party 4.
6 o'clock sounds good.
Is that good?
For us it's good, I don't know, seems good to me, so that's fine by me.
Yeah.
Because it's a long story, and also I have been getting to bed late as of late, and I
So,
wake
yeah.
up early, man. I wake up
Okay.
with a freaking light. I wake, so if I go to bed at 11 o'clock, I still wake up freaking 5 or 6 o'clock. So try to get to bed a little early, but we likely won't. Good 6 o'clock, so I'm still going to be at 11 o'clock.
Reservation confirmed.
Brilliant.
Party 4, 6 o'clock,
Brilliant.
June 27th.
Brilliant.
Hopefully that's today.
Is it today?
Yeah.
I was today years old.
Why? I'm today years old, yes. Like that. What day is it? Said
Thursday.
Piglet. Today, said Pooh. My favorite day, said Piglet. I think it's the other way around. Yeah, it's what day is it, said Piglet. No, said Pooh. Today, said Piglet. My favorite day. I like that.
Talk about communication. My father was hard of hearing. My mother's in the kitchen. My father, he was suffering from some cancer and whatnot, but he's sitting in the living room and he's looking out the picture window, and there is a thermometer out there on the deck. My mother yells, "What's the temperature, Red?" Thinking he would turn and look at the thermometer, and he responds, "Tuesday." Hilarious. Communication.
Communication's a haphazard business, very much so. Okay, actually, I thought the life detective and trust was session 1 of module 7, but it's
6 o'clock.
Because that will give us the, because that's the thing with
it
you.
doesn't matter. We can actually
Hang
shift
out
it.
for
Yeah.
a couple hours and
It
then watch
doesn't
the
have to be
view.
number 3. I think I just put it in.
It says
kind of
dining room.
progress, so.
Would we have to request something
Yeah,
special
ask-
outside?
Yeah, ask
So
for
I should
a,
call them and see if
yeah.
we can change, because they didn't give me a choice of where to make the reservation.
Say we want a view, we want to enjoy
What you
the
thinking,
Red Rock
Miles? What you
view.
thinking?
They have these big windows, so.
What you thinking?
Your question about people who are in the midst of
John
suffering.
is on the phone.
We have to insist on extracting them all. Apply that in that situation. Every time we've been in bad situations, that was our go-to. We always insisted on extracting them all. And it's actually we'll start with that story this evening. We'll pick that up. It's okay. No.
So you asked me what I was thinking.
He's out.
Managing time. So we have dinner at 6. Tomorrow is going to be pretty much the day to like finish up as much as we can.
Oh, really? Okay.
Saturday, I'm not sure what time we're going to leave to go to that colony or whatever.
Oh,
Marco Sunday.
right.
Oh,
Right.
but
We'll-
aren't you going on Saturday? On Sunday?
Saturday.
Oh. So then we should have said 9 days, not 8 days. You finished on day 8. Day 8 was for the last day of the course, so I have to leave on day 9. We'll make it work. We'll finish module 7 now, and then we'll do module 8 tomorrow. It's all good.
Okay. And anything pertinent we can do, and if we need to, like, if there's stuff we can look at on our own, we can do that too.
Why?
You just have an outgoing message and there's no way of leaving the message.
I'm going on a hike with a friend who's driving in from Phoenix.
This is tomorrow.
Were you going to
Yeah, like around 4 or 5 or something.
This is the friend you were going to stay with? Or different friend? Ah, cool.
Were you thinking of biking?
Go with the flow, let her lead.
Yeah. Sure. Was she? Was she?
She comes up here regularly then.
Yeah, she'll be.
Cool, cool, cool.